How do there, guys? Welcome back to Edgar TV. You may notice if you watched the video we did together not too long ago, we sat on the same sofa wearing the same clothes. So
this
obviously,
is part two.
Yeah, we filmed a few videos on the same day. So if you are enjoying these, you might as well hit subscribe, because there's going to be more of them after this one as well. We're going to be discussing all sorts of topics, very subjective things. And today what we're going to be looking at is the top 5 dart players that have never held a PDC tour card. Now, when I did this, I came up with 7 names. My names, not that I'm going to read them off the notes here, just ignore this bit. Paul Lim, Martin Adams, Tony O'Shea, Daryl Fitton, Paul Hogan, yourself, and Andy Fordham. Now, when we did that, I thought, how are we going to pick 5 out of 7? Because I'm not going to do the top 7. We've got to make 5. So I'm going to go with the top 5 players that have never held a tour card but have attempted to get one.
Yeah.
We know that Paul Lim and Martin Adams haven't. Andy Fordham did try and get a tour card, played in myself. Would Andy Fordham make your top 5 of, world champion on the BDO side?
Yeah, Andy Fordham would make my top 20 of all time, which was in the other video, which you can watch if you just skip back a bit. He was a remarkable player, wasn't he? He was hindered because of his his own lifestyle, let's put it that way. But when Andy was on it, my goodness, what a tough player and a tough competitor, super hard to beat. And for me, he looking at that, he would probably, maybe outside of Martin Adams, be on the top of my list.
Yeah, Martin Adams, I think we're on everyone's list, but just you can have your own list, by the way, guys, and you don't have to use that criteria of they've attempted to go to Q school. You don't have to use that one if you don't want. Just any criteria for your top 5 players of all time who never made a tour card. Now, what was interesting was you actually stopped playing darts when the tour card got introduced in 2011. So you just went I looked at yourself, I looked at Wayne Mardle. Yep. Wayne Mardle actually played in 2011. He played in the UK Open, so he held a tour card for 1 year. You never got one, but you did have a go at Q school once. Yeah,
I was on the slide, and I actually, if I wouldn't have if I hadn't have said I was quitting, I would have got a tour card at the time.
It was top 96, wasn't it?
Yeah,
cards.
Yeah, and I think when I decided that was enough, I was well inside the top 40. Yeah. I think I was about 35, and Alan Warren a little was like, "Don't do it, don't." I said, "Just take me out of everything. That's it, I'm done." And then a couple of years later, I thought, I started practicing, got the bug back, and I thought, right, I'll have a crack at this. I did one day, and I just couldn't cope with it. It was brutally tough. And I just went back to my hotel room and sat there for a couple of days and thought, this is definitely it. I'm not cut out for it.
You know, don't you?
Yeah. I think well, you've gone through a similar thing. You sometimes you've just got to go, right, I just need, for my own sanity. Yeah. You just have to walk away. But it was a bit of a strange one, the timing and everything else. But no regrets. I was already massively involved in the media side of things, so it wasn't like I was totally walking away.
Just changing, sidestepping.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And sometimes you've got to take a step back to take a step forward. So, but for me, looking at the list you come up with, like I say, the ones that never attempted to get a tour card, Martin Adams has got to be at the top of the list.
Oh, absolutely. He'll be in most people's list.
And again, another player that fringed top 10 in the world on another day. When I looked at other numbers, I'd have him as one of my top 10, but without doubt, one of the best 20 players ever to play our sport.
Got a feeling you're not going to be putting this next one in. Paul Hogan. I think understated, possibly the greatest amateur qualifier of all time in regards to the UK Open.
Yep.
Lakeside qualified for multiple occasions. Never really did much outside of just going to local opens and winning 500 quid every weekend. Yeah. But still managed. Was it you or Warren who called him the amateur professional? Yeah,
he was. I've known Paul Paul's been around for as long as I've been playing, that's for sure. And he was one of those. we sort of earned our money playing in opens, 500 quidders, 300 pounders, 1,000 pounders, 700 quidders. And if you walked in and you saw Paul Hogan, you go, oh no, what's he doing here? Because he was deadly at them. Him and Ronnie Baxter, two of the best of five players I think I've ever come across. They were absolutely deadly in picking up those, and he is probably one of the best amateur players because he's always been an amateur. He's never had the opportunity to be a full-time professional, and that's why I agree with you. He certainly would be in my top. And people will be thinking that I don't get that.
Well, there's a few that you won't get because actually that's a different circuit altogether. That pubs and clubs sort of thing. Would you want to play Johnny Haynes?
Yeah, there you go. There's another one. Yeah, there's another one, and there was loads of them. There was a great player back in the day called Terry Collins, called Top Cat, and they used to call him the king of the holiday camps. Yeah. Dave Lee was very similar, although Dave Lee, a lot of the maybe older viewers remember him from playing multiple TV tournaments, but they were just made from a different cloth. That people like Terry Collins loved that holiday camp scene, and it was the same players at the holiday camps like what we experienced. There was Phil Taylor knocking about in Norfolk back in the day and playing in what was the initial Pro Tours, so they were just as hard to win because everybody was there. But yeah, Paul Hogan, wow, one of the best players that for me has never had that opportunity to be a full-time pro.
I'm going to bundle my last two together into one, and I'm going to do that because these two sort of joined at the hip a lot of the time around the dart scene, Tony O'Shea and Darrell Finn.
Yeah,
and I reckon they maybe didn't do it because of each other in a way. Like, I know certainly when you've got a travelling partner and you've got a friend, you sort of do get this sort of weird relationship with them where you sort of almost willing them just as much. And, if one of them went and left the other one behind, we had sort of with Gary Anderson and Gary Robson, it was like a divorce almost, wasn't it, the feeling?
Well, and both of them were involved in that Men in Black tour.
Yeah.
And they're like brothers. They absolutely love each other. They travelled and sort of, I think one may have had the thought, oh, I'll do it, and the other one was like, well, I don't really fancy it, right, I won't do it then. And then the other may have gone, should we have a crack? I remember them both going over to Vegas years ago for the Las Vegas Desert Classic, because it was always a qualifier, and it was an open qualifier. It was open to anybody, but they were massively involved, of course, with the international side of darts and other elements of the BDO, and there was that constant threat that if you got involved in one, you get banned from the other. Hence the reason Martin didn't make, he played in Grand Prix, he played in the match play, he played in the Slam.
Semi-finalist, I believe, wasn't it?
Yeah,
match play?
Yeah, and he was very happy with his lot. He was a proud England captain and an England player, and he was quite happy. And he never, listen, the PDC isn't for everybody. It doesn't make you less of a player because you never played in it.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we have a different perception, because we see them as players rather than, as this tribal mentality. PDC's the best, BDO was rubbish, and we sort of see it from the most basic element. How good were they at darts? Yes. And two very, very good dart players. Both of it, multiple 9-darters and. Grand Slam runs, big BDO tournaments, Tony O'Shea, finals of the Worlds. Two top players, and would have been an asset because they were ready-made in terms of having a personality and they were showmen. Yeah. They had every element that the PDC would have wanted at that time, but just never quite work out. But like I say, I judge them on their ability, not their decision, and where they chose to play their sport.
And that is the top 5 players, in our opinion, who have never held a PDC tour card. Let us know down in the comment section if you agree with those, or if there's someone you think we should have been adding in. I'm sure there's going to be a few overseas players that maybe we've forgotten about, that a few of us might remind of us. But we'll catch you soon for another episode where we'll probably be wearing the same clothes again, discussing another topic, so make sure you're subscribed.